All right, so first we want to start off with the drivers. You want to make sure you have it in install the latest update. So you go to your driver depending on which one you use. If you're using NVIDIA, you just put NVIDIA, and if you're using AMD, I think you just put AMD or you put like Radeon, whatever it is. But like you get the point. You go to your drivers now. If you've never installed them and you don't know, you never installed them before, simple. So you can just type it here too. Just put Task Manager. Then you open that. Go to Performance, and you go all the way down. You tap GPU right here, as you can see, GTX 1650. So if you've never installed drivers before, you would just go to Chrome and you would type GTX 1650 drivers, and then you can install, and it's pretty simple from there. All right, so now we open up whichever card you got. You open up the driver app for it. So right here, as you can see, I already have the latest one. But if you don't, it will be a green button right here that you can press, and it'll install it. And it's a pretty simple process. And when you're installing the update for either card, the screen might black out for a second, but that's normal. That's what it's supposed to do. And same for when you do check for updates. You do that just to make sure. And as you can see, I have the latest game ready driver. So now I'm gonna move on to the next thing. Now this is if you have an NVIDIA card, cause I have one in right now, so I only got it for an NVIDIA card. But right here, as you can see, the first thing when you open the video control panel, if you don't have this, you make sure to install that, cause you're gonna need this. So you open it, and the first thing that's gonna be open is adjust image settings with preview. Want to make sure you put that on performance, cause obviously this is all about performance. So you put it on performance, and then you go down, manage 3D settings. So I'll tell you which ones I have worked the best for me. So have image scaling off because I don't use that. Ambient occlusion off. Anti Anti-stropic filtering off. Anti-aliasing definitely off. Gamma correction off. Anti-aliasing mode off. And this all depends on you if you want to have the background, like if you want to set a certain amount of FPS in the background. I put it on 20, so that way I can just tap the Windows key, and it'll be at 20 FPS if I'm not using my PC and I'm doing something real quick, so that way it doesn't use unnecessary energy. This doesn't matter. You can just leave that on all. This doesn't matter. You can leave it like that. TSR factors off. Low latency mode ultra. Every time you see low latency mode, make sure you always put it on the highest setting you can. So as you can see, it says off on ultra. Put that on ultra. Max frame rate, that all depends on you if you want to cap your FPS. Multi-frame sampled AA off. This doesn't matter. This doesn't matter. Power management mode. So obviously, if you want the best performance, you're gonna put this on prefer maximum performance, as you can see. And then this doesn't matter either. Uh, this off. Then we turn. Oh, we put that on clamp for the texture filtering. Texture filtering quality, obviously high performance instead of the other stuff here. And then trilinear optimization. You want that off. Let me click off. There you go. All right, put off on that. Threaded optimization, that you definitely want on to use your threads. As you can see right here, when you go on CPU, you got these threads. They're not always going to be used sometimes, so the GPU can offload some load to the threads so they can do some work. It's definitely an option you want to have on. And then these don't matter. This is right, vertical sync, that's a preference if you want to cap it the FPS to your monitor's refresh rate, and you can see that by going on settings, system, you go to advanced display settings, and then right here, this is your hertz. So obviously it's on 60 hertz, so if I turn that on, it's gonna cap the FPS to 60 because that's my monitor's refresh rate. So now that that's out the way, you go to Epic Games. and then you click right here these three little dots that are right under the little picture for Fortnite, and you go to options. Then right here, obviously you want to have this on, and this you can't turn off anyway. So if you don't use Fortnite Save the World, it's better just to turn it off because it just takes extra space. So if you're not using it, you should just have it off because you can always just download it back if you're gonna play it. High resolution textures, obviously you don't want high resolution textures because that's gonna take away performance trying to load in these high resolution textures, and takes 11 gigabytes, and it doesn't make that much it doesn't make a difference at all. I can't even say that much. It just doesn't make a difference at all. So it's just better to turn it off because you won't feel the difference. I've tried it. It's no difference. DirectX 12 shaders. If you want the best performance, you're obviously going to be on performance mode. So therefore, you shouldn't need DirectX 12 in the first place. So that you turn off unless you're using DirectX 12 for whatever, then you can keep it on. And then you want to make sure you have disabled cosmetic streaming on, because when you have this on, when you're playing the game, for instance, I'm playing the game and I'm fighting and Omega is going to be trying to sit there and download like the skin and all that while I'm playing. So obviously if I'm in a fight and it's trying to download their skin, it's going to take away like performance, especially if you had bad Wi-Fi or like a low-end PC, then it could really affect it during a fight. So obviously you want to make sure you turn that off, and then you put apply. You make sure it does that. Now we open the game. So we'll give it a second to open. All right, so now I'm loaded in the game. Want to go to settings. Right here, I don't know why it's on Windows, but you want to make sure you have it on full screen. So obviously right now I'm on a bad monitor, so this is the resolution, but you want to make sure you play on 1920 by 1080p. But it doesn't matter, whatever it is, you obviously want to play on full screen. So when we look at it from here, let's look at a full screen mode. You can easily switch, not interact. See right here, full screen mode, you cannot interact with other windows as easily, but the game will run slightly faster. Now it is a pretty it's a pretty good difference. Like you'll notice it. So you definitely want to have it on full screen. And then we go down, VSync. I wouldn't turn that on from the Fortnite settings. I would turn that on from like the Nvidia settings I showed you, or from like the AMD app. Just you want to have it on the VSync on from there. You don't want to turn it on from the game. And then frame rate, that all depends on you. I personally want to play on unlimited, get the most FPS possible. That's the whole point of doing all this. And then rendering mode. Now, obviously, if you want the best FPS, you gotta go in performance mode. So that's what I have it set on. But if you want to graphics, then obviously you on DirectX 12 or 11. Depending on what your GPU is what you want to play on. So DirectX 11, obviously older graphics cards, and DirectX 12 is for newer graphics cards. So that's that. And then 3D resolution, you want to leave that on 100, and you turn that down if like you're on a lower end card and struggling to play the game. Then obviously you might want to turn it down a little bit. But personally, I play with it on 100. So this doesn't matter. And then view distance, if you want the best FPS, obviously you can put that on near. But I would say putting on medium is the best because it's better to at least see a little bit more. It won't take up that much performance. It's worth it. It's worth just put on medium. Then textures, obviously we want best performance, so we do not want to have it on anything else but low. See, because as you said, it will make increasing this setting will make objects more detailed, but can reduce the performance, which we don't want. So it's gonna stay on low. And meshes, obviously, I'm gonna leave that on low too, because it says higher geometry settings gives objects a more detailed shape. Increasing this setting will make objects more detailed, but can reduce performance. So obviously, low. And then show FPS. That's if you want to have it on or off. That's for you to decide. But report performance status. This you want to have off. Cause see, as you said, it's gonna upload detailed performance stats for the next several matches or until you exit the game. It's just gonna like be running in the background and take up like your resources, which you obviously need if you want the best performance, and it's not gonna do nothing for you anyway. So you just put down disabled, then we click on apply. All right, so now we going. No wait, hold on. So before we do that, we gotta go here too. Let me not forget that. And then you wanna scroll down until you get to extra game options. Make sure you have, if you're on the video graphics card, make sure you have that off, cause this obviously is gonna be taking up resources as well in the background. And then you should obviously notice by now, unless you're using replays, you should have these off. Like maybe you can have this on if you use replays, but other than that, like definitely don't want these on. You probably won't use these. And then these, it don't matter. It's better to just have them on. I personally use it on. Well, yeah, I just turn it on. And then now I'm gonna reset the game real quick, because there are some settings in that you had to go back on like DX11 or 12 to like turn off, because it still will affect you in performance mode. So gotta make sure that we have them on off or on, because there's some you turn on and some you turn off. All right, so I'm back now on DX11, so we can look at the settings. So you want to scroll all the way down, go to advanced graphics, and right here, use GPU crash. Hold on, I can't see. Okay, there you go. Crash debugging. Obviously, you want to have that on off, because as it says, if you experience crashes, consider enabling this to help the developers track down the root cause of your issues. Enable this feature, comes at a small performance cost. Now, if your game don't really be crashing at all, then you don't need it on. So my game doesn't really crash, so I keep that on off. And latency markers, obviously keep that on off. Doesn't do anything important, so that stays on off. NVIDIA reflex low latency, you want to put that on plus boost. All right, anything that's low, like any low latency setting, you always want to make sure you put that on plus boost. It definitely helps with performance. As you see, it says it reduces system latency and GPU bound scenario. Definitely want that. And this is for if you have a NVIDIA card too, by the way. So not if you have an AMD card. And then report performance stats. Yeah, obviously keep that on disabled. And then that's pretty much it. So